Hey everybody, it's Kenny Cummins here. You're chilling with Kenny C right here on tmvcafe.com. Hope everybody's off to a nice start to the week. I know us Kentuckians were still recovering from a very difficult weekend. Hope everybody is doing okay. Um, so joining me at this time is a talented musician nominated in the punk category for the Lexington Music Awards, and super excited to have this individual on the show. Goes by the name of Maven, representing Dead Letterman. Joining me right now. How's it going?
I'm doing well. I'm so happy to be here, Kenny.
Super excited to have you on, and thank you for joining me, and congrats on your nomination.
Thank
Um,
you. Thank you. And
so
congrats on your win. I was so happy to see you take it in last night. And congrats to the winner in my category as well, Siggy Tuna. They definitely deserve that award.
I like that name, Shiggy
Yes.
Tuna. I was the moment I saw them accept the award, I was like, you know what? I love them already,
Yep.
just
Yep.
based on the name, and I'm gonna look forward to seeing them perform at some point. So I'm joined Maven of Dead Letterman. So we'll go ahead and get started. So talk about your musical journey as far as you getting started. What led you into becoming a musician?
Yeah. Well, I'd always had instruments around me growing up because I had an uncle who played a bunch of instruments. So when I was growing up, and every time I go over to his house, I was probably the only one in the family besides him that had an interest in those things. So he would let me fiddle around on guitars or play his drum set or whatever. But it wasn't until the beginning of the COVID pandemic that I had some inspiration to actually commit to this thing. And so the COVID pandemic hit, and I had nothing to do, just stuck at home. Um, and I just decided to buy a guitar. And I bought the guitar and just kind of immediately like took to it. And immediately, like, just songs, ideas started really flying out of me. And that was really the birth of Dead Letterman.
So here's what I want to know about the name in particular, Dead Letterman. Because I know a famous Letterman who
Hmm.
once upon a time that did late night television.
Yes.
Very, very legendary.
Hmm.
And I'm always curious of the story or the backstory of these group names or band names
Okay.
or stage names. So, what led you to go with Dan Letterman?
So I've never actually been asked this question on the record before. Um, for years, people have asked me, and I have tended to just make up like insane backstories, like it's about a conspiracy involving the talk show host or this or that. But since I'm on the record, I'll actually explain what it really
Okay.
means. I wanted the name to be a portmanteau, which is, where you take two different phrases and mash them together.
Yeah.
So a dead letter is a legal term for like a law that's like obsolete. Like, those like silly laws they made in like the 1900s, like you can't eat ice cream while walking backwards. Those would be called like dead letters.
Yeah.
And a letterman is a name for like a high school athlete who's like very decorated. So when you smash those together, it's basically a dead letterman is somebody who was formerly accomplished and now they're like a washed up has been. Like they never really accomplished much, but their glory days are already behind them anyways. It's kind of a downer of a name.
I mean, it's definitely intriguing nonetheless.
I appreciate
And
that.
that had to be something. Like you keep being asked a question like that and you just having to just say some random stuff on the fly, and people gonna take it for what it is.
Yeah.
But I've gotten to listen to your music, and I actually featured one of your songs on the playlist I did on the previous
Hmm.
Sunday. "Come Find Me" is
Come Find
definitely
Me.
becoming one of my favorite songs from you.
Thank you. I appreciate
So,
that.
and I see that as far as the music side of things, um, you you have some songs out already, and from my understanding, some of the music was re-released back to the platforms or something like that.
Yeah, so um back in 2022, I released my first full-length album. It was called Skywinder, and I had worked on it for probably a year and a half. And after I released it, I like those songs, but I came to this feeling of like that's not my best output. That's not the best reflection of me and how I've grown as an artist after working on this for as long as I have. So I followed that up with a second album. I just put my foot down and said, let's just go all out, no restrictions. My live show's just me and a guitar, but let's just forget about those restrictions and just do whatever I want. And that became the second album, Channel 17. Well, I was very proud of it. And after that, I said, you know what? I just proved to myself I can make a record that indicates my progression as a musician. I've got all this old stuff on Spotify, on all the streaming services that's from when I first started, and it's all so rough. I could barely sing, couldn't play guitar besides 4 or 5 chords, couldn't, engineer to save my life. I said, I just proved something to myself with all this new music. I think I should take that down and give these songs proper justice. And that ended up being the third record, Someone's Gonna Love You, which has Come Find Me on it as the opening track. It was essentially just taking all those old songs and doing them what I felt was the proper justice.
That's definitely understandable. Obviously, musicians take pride of their music, and sometimes when you listen to them yourself, you feel like, no, I could have done this better, or I could have done
Mhm.
that better. So, and I respect that. Because at the end of the day, this is your
Yeah.
music. This is your presentation
Yeah, I
as a
mean,
yeah.
we are our own worst critics as artists. And anytime, yeah, you create some piece of art, you're gonna pick out one small detail that you're gonna like hyper fixate on, and it's gonna eat you alive every time you revisit it. And I think in my case, I'm glad that I got to a point where I said I can just clean the slate with this and just make this right.
Respect to you for that. So go check out Dead Letterman and their music. It's available on all the platforms right now. And Come Find Me, definitely a favorite of mine. Um, I'm joined with the award nominating Maven of Dead Letterman, representing such an incredible music scene here in Kentucky. And so you had a show a while back at Fish Tank, I believe that was.
I did.
So I think that may have been your first show of the year.
It was.
So how did it feel just getting on that stage and
Yeah.
performing this material?
So after 2022, I had never really played proper shows before because getting started at the beginning of COVID, of
Yeah.
course, there were no shows going on. So 2022 was kind of my debut on the live circuit, if you will. And I played a lot of shows in a very short period of time. And I decided to take a break after a show I played in November in Louisville. And I was planning on kind of sitting out for just a while, like several months, just to kind of, maybe write some new stuff. Who knows? Just get a little break. But 2 days before that show at Fish Tank, Eric from Brighton Place just sent me a message and was like, "You doing anything Thursday? We really need some support for this show at Fish Tank, and we are freaking out." And I said, "Well, Fish Tank is right around the corner from my house. I live like 2 blocks away from Fish Tank. So, yeah, mark me down." And I didn't have a set list really prepared. I didn't have time to like change my guitar strings and all the normal stuff that you would do before a show. So I just kind of went and did it on the fly, but it felt really good. Like I was pleased with my output on like little to no notice.
Yeah, just coming through in the clutch. That's
Yeah, and
can't
Brighton
do.
Place, they're awesome band. They played some originals as well as some Beatles covers, and the artist before them, I want to shout out to. I don't know how to pronounce their name. Nehemia, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know how to pronounce it. They did some awesome covers. They closed on a Tyler Childers cover that like totally stole my heart. Those are also awesome bands that I think everybody should check out.
yeah. Kentucky's very own Charlotte Childers.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, he's gonna be at Whalebird Festival in June. I forgot to see him at the first Whalebird.
Mm,
And I will confess I was a late fan. Like after like he blew up and everything, and
mhm.
he was actually at a Alexis Music Awards years back, and he won. I didn't even know who he was at the time, and now I see, oh yeah, he's that dude. Yeah, he's that
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, I think people like Tyler Childers, as well as like Sturgill Simpson and Chris Stapleton, they have done a lot to remove that stigma that country music is like one type of thing.
Yeah,
You know, what you hear on the radio with the drink a beer, drop a tailgate, and a lot of people that's polarizing to them.
yeah.
And having those people like your Childers, your Simpsons, your Stapletons, they have made incredible strides to not only put Eastern Kentucky and Central Kentucky on the map musically, but to remove that stigma and show you that country music can get down to its roots and be something truly special.
I agree 100%. Just those three individuals definitely showing proof that country can be more than one dimensional per se. So it's pretty cool. I've been in Kentucky for most of my life, and like the famous Kentucky act I knew was people like Nappy Roots,
Mhm.
and that was it that I could think of. Now this was before I really got in tune with the local scene. So now I'm looking at all these musicians, and I'm like, man, why did I didn't don't go to these local shows a long time ago?
Yeah,
I felt
yeah,
like I was stuck in the mainstream box like a lot of people. But I'm glad that's not the case anymore because I
yeah,
now went on to these talented musicians have become friends.
yeah,
And I'm like the boogeyman. I come to these shows and have fun. So it's very intriguing. It's very enlightening. It was a special night last night with all things considered. I thought
mhm.
everybody did all they can do. And I think the show went smoothly. It was definitely the most explicit Lexington Music Awards I've ever been to.
Yes.
Thank you, Data Dennis and Beer Man. I mean, they really lighten the mood up a little bit. But man, it's just good to chat with you and see anything else you have in the works as far as maybe upcoming shows down the road. What else you have going on moving forward?
Sure. Well, I my next show is not in Lexington, but rather in Louisville. It's on March 31st, and it's going to be at a small record store in Louisville called Surface Noise. If you're ever in Louisville, you should check them out. They're owned by Brett Ralph, who is just a wonderful, lovely human being. Um, After that, I'm playing in Louisville again, April 17th, with a touring act named Tony and Gravel. If you're a fan of the folk punk genre, highly suggest you come out to that. Tony and Gravel, they are amazing. And I have something very special in Lexington happening June 24th. I cannot divulge details on that just yet, but it will be in Lexington June 24th.
That just so happens to be the eve of my birthday.
Ooh,
So,
it's 2 days after mine. So,
oh
cancers.
yeah, with some cancers, man. I don't like that phrase cancer because of the disease. Maybe they could have
Yeah,
come up with a better term, but that's just a sign term per se.
yeah,
But
yeah.
maybe I'm just nitpicking. But it is what it is. Maven, it's good, so good to have you on the show, and have this chat with you. Just thank you for your time, and just I look forward to cross paths with you at some point. I see you're a wrestling fan like myself.
Yeah.
So I mean, I like the old school wrestling. I like the new school
Yeah. I have
wrestling.
a whole old school Jack Pacific figure collection right here on the on the shelf behind me.
Yeah, so once we cross paths, we'll definitely talk wrestling for sure. But it's just good to have you again. Congrats on your nomination. Congrats to
Thank you.
everybody, nominees and winners. And if I have nothing planned on the 24th, I'll keep a closer eye on that date and on your social medias, and we'll go on from there. Go check out Dead Letterman on all social media sites, Dead Letterman, and go check out the music, also Dead Letterman on all the streaming platform thingies. I'm just using a direct price term from Simple Vivi, the thingies, the social media thingies. That's what we're gonna call that term. But it's good chatting with you. Continue happiness and success. And if I have nothing planned on the 24th, we'll cross paths on that day. Thank you again for your time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kenny.
All right, you have a good night.
You do the same.
All right.